So do you want to just introduce who you are and where you're from, and then just go straight into your story?
Okay, so I'm Chirstine. I'm from Gracewell-Healthcare Care Home, which is in Suffolk. My reasons behind joining Gracewell-Healthcare, I had reached a point in my career where I was working for big hotel companies, so Hilton, Marriott, working for racetracks like Silverstone. Enjoyed my job in sales, but I didn't feel like I was making a difference. I felt like I needed to do something. I watched a programme actually, and I saw that there was a lady taking appointments for people to have their operations done. And I said to my boyfriend, I could do that. She's making a difference to people's lives every day. And he said, yes, darling, but I don't think that pays very well. So then I decided to have a look what was out there. And I saw a job advertised for KUK, which was this job. So it was Customer Relations Manager. And
Sorry, take a deep breath, that's fine.
I know you can cut it together.
Have you got your drink? Did you bring one in?
No.
No? You were right.
Yeah, I just need to take a breath.
Yeah, just take a breath and slow down, yeah. It's fine. It's a bit like you do presentations. I suppose you do, if you work in sales, you probably do.
I did one at Silverstone once to 150 agents. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Well, often what it is you feel nervous in yourself.
But I don't. It's weird. It's when I'm talking. I felt it just getting there. Yeah.
Cool, okay, so deep breath, relax.
Okay.
Care UK.
So I saw a job advertised for Customer Relations Manager, and I did apply for the job. And I got through to the interview, and I got through to the second stage of interviews, and I started doing some market research for my interviews. And I went into some care homes in Ipswich, and one in particular I came out of, and I cried. I thought to myself, gosh, if that's care homes, I don't know if I can do this job. At that point, I hadn't been into one of their care homes. And whilst I was in the interview process, I happened to literally stumble across the job for Gracewell of Kentford. And I read the spec. It sounded very similar, but more high-end, to be quite honest. And I thought, I'll apply for that, see what happens. Applied for that job and went for an interview whilst I was still interviewing for KUK, and spent a whole morning there at Gracewell, and fell in love with the home, fell in love with the company, and what it's about. And this was a care home that I would be proud to represent. So I was offered the job subsequently and started 2 years ago in February. And I can truly say I make a difference every day. I help many families through difficult times, difficult conversations. And I think that the point when I really realised how much of a difference I make was a few weeks ago. We had a lady move in. It took the family a little while. They had a journey to get to being ready for care for their mum. Mum's living with dementia. And they were worried about how she would settle, and how when they took her out for her choir classes, whether they'd be able to get her back to the home. But she did. She went out, she came back. She actually, when she was out, I was asking when she was going home to Gracewell. And the daughter came up to me one evening and hugged me and said, "You've changed our lives and you've saved us." And to that, I can't put into words what that meant to hear that. So I do love my job. I love Gracewell-Healthcare. I'm not paid to say that. I like Sunrise as well, of course, not as much as Gracewell. But I do make a difference every day.
Brilliant. That was really lovely. Well done.
Was that okay?
Yeah, that was really, really lovely.
I felt like I rambled on a bit.
No, that's absolutely fine. And then you slightly choked yourself up which is, works really well for this medium.
Bit of banter about Gracewell and Sunrise.
I heard them all laughing next door, so.
That's good.
So that was brilliant. So just take a deep breath and relax for a second,
Okay.
and then we could kind of talk about your next story.
Okay.
Which what's that one about?
So that one, I have notes on that one.
Oh, okay.
So, this is about Fred. So the only key things I need to remember, just a few dates on here. That's it. And then I'll just talk about Fred, who is, I should know everything there is to know about Fred, because he has been someone I've been talking about in every IPP, so every show round I've done for the past 2 years. Okay, cool. So he's an inspirational man.
So I suppose, really the specific dates and times
don't really matter.
No.
And actually it kind of does in a way date it. So if it was 2015 or something, then actually you could just say last year or recently or whatever, if you can't remember the specific date. So yeah, just imagine you're giving me a show around and you're telling me about Fred. So can you tell me about Fred?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Fred. Fred moved into Gracewell of Kentford in 2013 in the August. He was brought to us by Continuing Healthcare fast track funding, and his prognosis was that he would have 2 weeks to live. His family were prepared. They were by his bedside, and he moved in very, very poorly on lots of different tablets. I'm surprised he didn't rattle. He was on that many things. So Kentford, we took him off everything and we just made him comfortable. 2 weeks later, he's still there and he's getting stronger and he's getting back on his feet. And stumbled for a moment, sorry.
You could pick up from two weeks later.
Yeah. Take a moment. Okay. So 2 weeks later, he was back on his feet. He was starting to be able to look after himself again. Fred was, he had a fantastic life. He was a war veteran. He was a father, a husband, an uncle, and a friend to many, many people. A big character in the Newmarket community. He was actually at Normandy Beach on D-Day, and he would always reminisce and say he didn't expect to come back. And that afterwards he came back to his lovely wife, and they had a daughter, and they didn't have any more children because at that time they couldn't afford it, and it was very hard, but he lived every day. And he said that after he had been in the war and how terrible it was, that he would wake up every day and it doesn't matter what the weather is, what it's like outside, he'd open those curtains and he would say, I'm going to have a good day, I'm going to enjoy my life. And he did. So on the 30th of January this year, Fred celebrated his 100th birthday. So this was the man who came in with 2 weeks to live, and 3 years later he was still with us and living life. He had 2 parties, nearly had 3 because he was telling everyone the wrong day, so a lot of people turned up on the Saturday, but he had his family birthday party on the Sunday, and then he had his Kentford family party on the Monday. His favourite singer Jackie came and he danced with her. Fred would also join in our fashion shows, and he would be a model. So a 100-year-old model. It was fantastic, and everyone knew Fred. He would also walk into my presentations. So I'd be sat in a private room with a family talking about Gracewell of Kentford, talking about their challenges. And Fred would walk in unannounced, and he would say, "Well done, you've found the best home. You may find somewhere similar to Kentford, but you won't find anywhere better." And then he'd go off on his way, and I'd have to quickly say, I promise I haven't paid him, he's not on commission. And he was a real character. 5 weeks after Fred's birthday, he sadly passed away. He went to sleep. His family were all around him, and he had reached his milestone. His 100th birthday was his milestone. And I had the privilege of attending his funeral a couple of weeks later, and his family just couldn't thank us enough. They made speeches in the church about how he was so happy at Kentford and how they're so pleased that he spent his last years somewhere that he loved. And that's my story about Fred.
That's lovely.
Is that okay?
Yeah, really lovely. Yeah, really
I missed out lots of points.
It doesn't matter. You got the general gist of the fact that
Yeah.
he came in, he had 2 weeks to live.
We made him better.
He was there for 3 years. Loved it, and that's kind of summarises.
It's care. Really. Yeah.
So, a couple of things we've just been asking people is like, what do you love about working for Gracewell?
Oh gosh, I love the ethos. I love that overall it's about care. That of course it's a business. We all know that we're in a private care home in the private sector, and care is expensive, but the main fundamentals is care, and that our residents are the priority. I love the trust that I have in my role and the flexibility that I have to get the job done, and that I am allowed to do that job and in whichever way I see fit with the support of my manager and the leadership team. And I love making a difference, and I love that Gracewell makes a difference.
Cool, that was lovely. Brilliant, I think that's everything. We'll just see if Sam wants to add anything to
If they want me to do it again, I will.
That's fine.
make it better.
I just asked just to find what she does well with Gracewell.
Chirstine, we're going to put you on this permanently.
I missed loads of bits out and I stumbled, but never
I
mind.
heard you all laugh.
You did. I love Sunrise as well.
Not as much.
How you say for hospitality.
Okay, yeah, cool.
That's it.
Okay, perfect. So one little extra question.
Okay.
So obviously you made the sort of big choice to move from hospitality to care homes.
Mhm.
So why did you do that?
Okay, so hospitality, it is a service industry. It's the part that I was in was selling functions. Excuse me. So selling functions, selling weddings, selling events. So selling weddings is selling dreams. You only get one wedding, and it was fantastic. But like I said, can I start again?
Yeah, that's fine.
I stumbled. Why did I move? Okay.
You did cover it in your first story.
Yeah.
You did cover kind of the reasons. So I think it was more fundamental than that, really, wasn't it?
It
more
was.
That sort of lack of fulfilment, I think.
It was, and this isn't for the film, but to be quite honest, in hospitality, they're demanding. So the reason I made the move from hospitality was because even though I enjoyed my job immensely and I liked helping people with their special events, their wedding days, and selling somewhere fantastic like Silverstone, which is such an iconic venue, I wasn't making a difference. I didn't feel that personally I was making a difference. So I wanted to actually help people, and I'm not a clinician, so I can't fix people. But the skill I have is to be able to help people make the right decisions, to lead them to something which is better for them, to help them live better and help them live well. So, which is where care homes came in, and I do feel that the elderly deserve so much respect. They have lived through things that we can't imagine. We will never live through, hopefully, what they have lived through. A lot of our elderly, the generations that I deal with, have been war veterans. They have been through many recessions, they've been through poverty after the war, and they deserve our utmost respect for that. And so, which is why I decided to accept the job at Gracewell, because I wanted to help their families in their time of need and make sure that these people were getting the care that they deserve. And especially the vulnerable adults who are living with dementia or who have significant nursing needs. They are so vulnerable, and I just want to be in an industry and a company that ensures their safety and their dignity and their respect, and we really do at Gracewell.
Cool. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
hope that wasn't too nerve-wracking. You
Not
did very
at
well.
all.
That was
Was
good.
that okay?
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. Yeah.